So one of the pleasures I have is I don't judge the Innovation Awards, but I'm able to watch them. And Angela Whiteford just got on board with Affirmed Networks, which is a finalist the last couple of years. So she's fond of teasing her boss. When she got involved and made the presentation, she won going away this year. This is a terrific telecom company, and I'm not going to get that technical about it because Ron will spot me and never let me forget it. So Affirmed Networks was the 2015 New England Evening of Innovation winner, a company that's venture-backed. Its founder has done a company before that was bought by Cisco?
Nope, he took it public.
Took it public, Sonus Networks, which was eventually acquired.
Nope.
No, he's still public?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. That's where I can get into trouble. So this is in his first venture, but you know, this is a tremendous company that has disruptive technology. For those that you hopefully saw the article in the Globe with the founder Hassan, you know, gives rise, this is a company that's on the bubble of being the next billion-dollar company, according to Fortune magazine. I don't want to put any pressure on Angela because she handles the marketing and product development. She hails from Canada, New Brunswick, went to Queen's University, got her master's in engineering at MIT Sloan School. So, and the company is located in Acton, Mass. And Bob Shea and I had the pleasure of going out there and meeting with them in June. And I thought this was a great company for you guys to listen to today to lead off our innovation series. So Angela Whiteford from Affirmed Networks.
Wow, that's quite an intro. I'm glad this is getting recorded. Thank you so much, Bob. And thank you, everyone, for having us here today. It's a real pleasure, especially to be in the community that has really supported Affirmed. You know, we are in Acton, out in the middle of nowhere compared to the rest of the startups, but we have been very blessed and fortunate to have the amount of success we've had so far. So my goal today is pretty simple. I just want to take you on the journey and share with you how we came to where we are right now, which culminated in, you know, being listed as one of the next billion-dollar startups in the Forbes magazine, and then the winning of the SBANE award, which has been wonderful. So I'm just going to take you through how it all started. Does that make sense? Is there anything else anybody wants me to hit on? When we're going to IPO? No. If anybody knows that, I want to know that answer. No. So I think, you know, I was sitting beside Martha, and we were just talking as I was getting ready to get up here, and she was saying, so you're going to talk about market disruptions, right? And I said, yeah. And she said, you know, it's a lot easier when you're a startup. And I said, exactly. Because when you're a startup, and I love the word you used, you said, you don't have baggage. And I think one of the critical things about being a startup is, and we talk a lot about this at Affirmed, is we say, you know, we came to the table with a clean sheet of paper. So we were really able to look at the market, and Hassan, our founder, looked at the market and said, you know, something doesn't make sense here. And that there was a discontinuity in the market. And so that's what I'm going to talk about a little bit. I'm going to try not to make this too technical, but I'm happy to answer some very technical questions if we want to go there after the presentation. So basically, this is what we saw. So let me explain the chart. All of you have mobile phones. All of you are doing way more than making calls on your phones nowadays, right? So I, unfortunately, have been introduced to Pinterest, and I am on that thing like every minute I am not in front of my computer. It makes me crazy. And so what that has done for all of us who are using our phones now more than just for voice calling is the amount of what we call mobile data traffic across that network is skyrocketing. And so that's what you see with that big red line up at the top, right? There's 1,000% increase in mobile data traffic on AT&T's network in the last 10 years. I think that was the stat. It might have been actually 5 years, even faster. So the rapid exponential growth in mobile data traffic is phenomenal. So when the data traffic increases, what that means is that operators have to build this network to keep up with that traffic. And the problem is that the equipment that the operators have to keep up with that traffic, that's the capacity, that's the maximum capacity that equipment can respond to. I just told you, stay close to the mic, but I want to put this out. So the mobile data traffic is up at the top there. The equipment that needs to support the traffic, the maximum amount it can support, is here. We've got a problem, right? When markets evolve, if markets continue to evolve, there shouldn't be such a big gap. And you can just build bigger and bigger and bigger equipment, and you should be able to solve that problem. You can't. And then you have another problem. Just the mobile operators, so AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, these are just some examples. This is what their business model looks like today because of this mobile data traffic issue. The costs are going up because they've got to keep spending more and more money to keep up with all of us surfing on Pinterest. And the revenue, what each of us are paying for our monthly bill, is going down, right? Right? My monthly subscription service is getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, which is great. And I'm getting more services. I can do video calling. I can, my little one, she watches Netflix off of my phone now. I am a huge contributor to this problem, but my bill hasn't gone up. So you've got this fundamental problem of this, right? Costs going up, revenue going down. Unsustainable business model. That's what we recognized. So 5 years ago, when Hassan looked at the market, our CEO looked at the market, he said, okay, this doesn't make sense. The market is ripe for a disruption. There is clearly a discontinuity here. There's something we can do. So I'm going to talk a little bit about disruptions and get a little techie for a second. Anybody know what an S-curve is? Anybody? Okay. So basically, when technologies come out onto the market, they take the path of an S-curve, okay? So the technology gets introduced at the bottom of that S, and then the performance or the technology evolves to a point where you see the rapid line in the S, that's where it accelerates because adoption has happened. You're getting a tipping point. And then it curves off and it slows down again because then the next technology is going to come up, right? Because you kind of hit the peak of that technology's performance. So what happened for us, or what we saw in the market, was the first S-curve is done, right? It reached its capacity. It cannot do anymore. And we said, you know what? Let's come in and do something different. So 5 years ago, before even our customers knew what they wanted, we said, we're going to go build something. And we were at the bottom of the S-curve, okay? So we were at the bottom. We built a product. Very fortunately, all those big telecom operators, AT&T, Sprint, Verizon, Vodafone, all those guys, they had a meeting 2 years ago. And they said, we got a problem. Our business model is unsustainable. The equipment that we buy today is not going to support the traffic that we're seeing. We've got to do something different. And they put together a paper, and they documented what they think this needs to look like. And fortunately, they documented the solution that we were already building. So 2 years ago, when the operators came and said, we need this, Affirmed raised their hands and said, you know what? We have it. Try us. And AT&T selected us 2 years ago as part of their Domain 2.0 program. And AT&T, they've made a commitment. I'm going to go technical in a second here. But they made a commitment that they were going to change the way they build networks. And they were going to adopt this new solution. And they saw us as one of the innovators to do that. So that really put us on the map and brought us to that journey of being on this S-curve. And what's fortunate, and I'll tell you what we do in a minute, but I'm kind of leaving it to the end. What's fortunate is 2015 has been a very, very good year for us because we are here now. We're seeing this rapid adoption right now. Every year, We've doubled our bookings, we've doubled our revenue, we've more than doubled our customer base. We're sitting at 25 customers and over 40 trials worldwide. And a lot of these are big, big operators like the names I've told you. It takes 24 months to get one of these types of operators because they put you through the paces. So the fact that we came to market with a very new technology and the fact that we've had such a rapid adoption, we're very much in that curve, in the tipping point and the acceleration portion of the curve right now. And so that's what we believe is one of the reasons why, you know, we've gotten the recognition we have, and we believe that we're going to build a very, very successful company, is that we saw something. It was basically looking at market forces. We saw a fundamental problem in technology, and we saw a fundamental problem in the operator's business model. And we said, you know what, clean sheet of paper, here's the way to solve it. We made a bet, and we bet right, because the operators ended up validating that the solution we picked worked. And I just want to tell you, there's a lot of people like us. Every single one of these companies I'm going to show you here went through this exact same disruption. Every one of these guys, and these are big names if you look at them, Sun, 3Com, Cascade, Cisco, Juniper, these are all technology companies, big, multi-billion. Cisco's $11 billion company. Every single one of them came to market as someone like us and recognized that there was an opportunity for a technology disruption. And so we believe, we hope, we're the next one right there. Any questions? So what did we do? Okay. So what do we do? So the way the networks are built today, remember I said that in order to support this mobile data traffic, the Pinterest traffic, operators have this network equipment. So the network equipment kind of looks like this. It's like a bunch of servers, a bunch of software. Every type of function that you need has to be on its own server. It's very expensive, and there's a ton of them. Okay, so that's the old way. And every time you need to increase your capacity or add more traffic, you got to add more of these things. And then I showed you, right? The capacity peaks out at a certain amount. So what Affirmed said was, you know what? There's a better way to do this. All that hardware that you just saw, we do it all in software. We took everything that was hardware and we said, you know what? You can build this in software. And there's so many benefits and advantages to when you do that, right? We got a lot of bankers in the room, so this will be good. You lower your CapEx, you lower your OpEx. When you're dealing with software versus hardware, the speed at which you can enter a market is so much faster. And because you're dealing with applications versus these big, iron boxes, you're able to create and couple and build new services really fast. And guess what? This is what the Googles and the Amazons and the Facebooks of the world, this is exactly what they do. Affirmed really took this rapid, or what we call web scale innovation in the enterprise world, or vendors like I mentioned with Google and Facebook, and we brought it to the telecom world. And we were the first. So what we do is we took all of those boxes and we said, we're going to make them software applications, and we're going to run them on really cheap hardware, and we run them on this thing called a hypervisor. But the net is we just basically took hardware and made it software and ran it on really cheap servers. So that makes everything lower. And the nice thing about those servers, there's a lot of innovation going on those servers, so those are getting faster and faster and better and better. And one of the key reasons we've hit the tipping point in 2015, because one of you would say, well, okay, there's got to be an objection. Why would operators not do this? It's obvious. One of the reasons they weren't doing it was because performance. Because those big iron boxes, they perform really well. They're really fast because they're purpose-built. They're made for this particular function. And when you move to software, things don't always work that way. So much innovation has happened in the servers and so much good work in the software side, the work that we've done, that we've actually reached a point where that performance is better than the iron performance. And so that also created the tipping point, because every time we go into an operator network, they test our performance. And we were able to show, hey, look, we can outperform the best of the legacy guys. And that was a critical piece to the tipping point. So when you think about the S-curve, that technology has to get good enough that you're battling all the objections out there. And one of the big ones was performance. And that hurdle just was overcome last year. And I think the other piece that's really important, people don't buy technology just because it's cool, right? And the journey that I mentioned at the beginning, we really recognized that there was a problem with the business model. And one of the things that we're very proud of is we were able to quantify the impact. So we've gone to the market, we've had a very loud voice in the market this year to say, you know what, these are the benefits you get. You know, you can run everything on one server versus 3, the CapEx and the OpEx savings, look at the cash flow analysis, you're saving money in year 1. And then the big thing that's really important with operators, they want to lower that cost, but they want to lower that cost because they want to lower the cost of innovation of building new services. And by lowering the cost of everything you build your services on, you're able to create more and create them cheaply. So that whole revenue side is actually a really, really important part of the equation. And one of the unique things that Affirmed came to the table with is we said, we're going to help you with your cost problem. And we also built some very interesting applications within our solution that allows you to deal with the revenue problem. We can turn on and create new services in weeks, where right now for an operator to just offer a simple gold, silver, bronze charging program, it can take them 9 to 12 months to just create one. Deutsche Telekom, it took them 2 years. So these are things, and you can do this when you virtualize, and virtualize means when you turn things into software, and that's what we did. So just a few facts about Affirmed. You know, we were founded in 2010. We're headquartered, as we mentioned, in Acton. Bob helped us garner a great piece in the Boston Globe talking about the nature walks out in Acton. So every Friday we go for a walk around beautiful Nagog Park, so we really like that location. We have a little over 220 employees. 80 to 90% of them are all developers, and they're all based in Acton. And that has allowed us to rapidly create this product and actually rapidly create multiple products. We're about to launch 4 new products this fall. One of the things that's really important is you can't just disrupt once. You have to disrupt over and over and over again. And again, we're fortunate we have this first mover advantage of being able to turn things into software. And so now we're looking around, okay, what else can we do, right? And so we've identified 4 areas with the help of our customers to say, you know what, if you could turn this into software, that would save us a ton of money, or this would be huge in us creating new services. And that's exactly what we're doing. Again, just a little bit of our customer base. It's actually over 25 customers now. I think one of the things we're really proud of is the next comment, right? In every major market we have a tier 1 operator. So I can talk about AT&T here. I can talk about LGU in Korea. We've got the biggest operator in Japan. We've got the biggest in Western Europe. We've got the biggest in Canada. We're about to get one of the largest in the Middle East and in Latin America. For a 200-person company, that's pretty good. And as Bob mentioned, we're very fortunate to have a leader who's seen the movie before. And Hassan is a real visionary. And he has the recipe, because he did it with Sonos. Sonos was another discontinuity in the market around voice services and doing that on a different technology. So he's definitely charted a course for us that so far has been very successful. That's it. Thank you. It's not easy, right? You know, and especially I'm shocked because this is the first startup I've done. I've done bigger companies, and the speed at which people do things is phenomenal. It's unbelievable. It's almost like you have to put the carrot in front of them and say, I don't know if we can do this. It really is, because I've seen the team where we sit back and go, you know what? Nobody has virtualized this piece of the network yet. There's 5 people that are going after it. And all of a sudden, you know, it's like grassroots, and they're like, you know what, we can do this. And you just get a small group of people, very motivated, to go off and do this. I think one of the things that's been really important is we've taken very small teams, subsets of the teams, and said, go off and figure it out, right? So still 80% of the engineers are working on the flagship product and making sure that that's robust and getting that into the market. But we've created these small little teams that go off and are focused. And everybody wants to work on something new and sexy. And so I think a little bit of that mental energy comes from that. And a lot of it also comes from the feedback we get from the market of our success, and that we are so small. It's almost like we want to beat our chests even more to say, okay, we are that small, what else can we go do? Does that answer your question? Okay, thank you. Yeah, so a couple of things. They keep buying more boxes, and that keeps creating that problem of the widening gap. So it's just unsustainable, right? They'll keep buying more boxes to keep up the capacity, but the capacity keeps outstripping the boxes. So it's just they can never catch up. It's almost like a squirrel on a wheel right now. And so the challenge is they know, they're like, I can't keep up with the demand, or the cost to keep up with that demand is unsustainable. So when I say we're at the tipping point, every operator you talk to knows they have to get off the legacy. It's a question of when. And so part of mine and Raghav's job here is to create that sense of urgency that you better do it now, because it's only going to get worse. You know, one of the things one of our operators in Western Europe said, he's like, it's like if an operator doesn't do this, they're putting their foot on a gas pedal and accelerating into a brick wall. I mean, there's no successful outcome unless you change your technology. Yeah, all vendors are looking at it right now. All of them are in trials. AT&T is the most public out there in the market, talking about wanting to virtualize 75% of their network by 2020. And they've talked about that they've virtualized, what is it, Raghav, 5% already or something like that? 5 functions, and they've talked about the savings with that. They're actually very open about the progress that they've made. And also about how it's going to change the people side of their business, right? People are going to be needing to do different things. You're basically ripping apart a telecom organization, and you're saying IT and telecom, you're now mashed up in one. And that's a very different model, and AT&T was the first to say, we're going to do this. They're by far the trailblazers and the innovators in the market, but everybody's following suit. It comes back to the clean sheet of paper. So a couple of things. And this is my take on it, right? I was not sitting on Hassan's shoulders 5 years ago, but here's my view on it, which is none of the incumbent vendors, so none of the existing vendors who build the hard iron stuff are ever going to do this, because they're in a gravy train. The operators are buying more and more and more of their stuff to keep up. They do not want to cannibalize their existing revenue stream. So those guys aren't going to go do it. And in terms of people who have the skills and the knowledge and the capability of understanding telecom networks and what it takes to build something like this, there's not a ton of people out there. Hassan has been in the telecom space, and actually all of our founders have been in the telecom space for quite some time. Terry Durand actually ran all of operations for AT&T Network, and he retired and came over to Affirmed and helped us figure out, you know, what are the fundamental problems and what do we need to do differently. So I think some of it is the fact that we were able to come to the table with no baggage, the fact that the founders were telecom veterans and have all worked in the industry for 40 plus years, and we were fortunate to garner very tier 1 venture capitalist support to allow us to raise the amount of funds needed to go and develop that. Yeah, and it really goes back to the question I answered earlier about you have to disrupt again and again and again. So we do have a head start. We have a first mover advantage, no question about it. And we also have the fact that the incumbents are going to drag their feet. So when we compete, in every opportunity we compete, we don't compete against other startups, never. We compete against Cisco, Ericsson, Huawei, big multi-billion-dollar companies. And right now, they just don't have something viable, so we're winning. But they are going to catch up because they're bigger, they've got more people than us, and they're going to develop. So we have to say, okay, what are we going to go do next? So it's all about us staying a step ahead and continuing to disrupt and building a really robust portfolio of a number of different products that are virtualized, right? The other thing is, too, we don't lock in. There's something that was on one of the slides earlier. All of these big guys, they're a little greedy. They want to own the entire pie, right? And we come back and we sit there and say, you know what? You can put whatever hardware you want. You can put whatever software you want. You can pick and choose what you want from us. We don't care. We're just giving you that flexibility. And customers love that. Customers also love the fact, I mean, AT&T talks about this publicly. I'm not going to say they talk about this about us, but they talk about publicly that startups are able to innovate and create things extremely fast. A software code release with one of the big guys takes 2 years to get something out. We ship software every month. Every single month we ship software, because that's how quickly we're making changes. And that's a big deal. We are very focused on building a very successful standalone business. That is our goal. We want to make a difference. Again, our CEO has done it before, so that is our focus. That being said, there's always options out there, right, in terms of others. And there's absolutely companies who's approached us and said, wow, this is really great technology. But we really want to make a big impact on the market, and we believe that we can do that on our own.
So this was terrific today. Those that weren't here missed a lot. This is a terrific company. Stand by. There are more to come. This is dynamic and run in the telecom environment. Since Ron deals with Samsung all the time, who's done it as well as they have so far? Nobody. So thank you, Angela, for being here today.